everybody.
Yo, yo, yo.
Yo.
So, how's everything? How does everything go?
How does it go? Goes good. How's things with you?
Can't complain. I burned through 5 episodes of Masters of the Universe, 6 episodes of Loki, finished up and restarted Daredevil. Life is good.
Wow. TV.
Well, Daredevil is one of those I run in the background. Like there's only a handful of episodes or scenes where I'm like, I absolutely have to watch this,
Yeah.
Like the ending. The ending is the one you can't miss at all.
Nope.
Because the fight scene's amazing. But then, of course, you get that awesome speech from Murdoch where he's just he's just like, you're going to spend the rest of your life in a cage, miserable life in a cage, knowing you'll never have Vanessa, that this city rejected you, it beat you. And then he's like, I beat you. You're like, oh my God. It pumps me up so much every time. I'm like, oh my God, that is just so great.
Masterful.
Yes. I believe we're here to talk about a TV show. I don't know if you've heard of it. You might have, because we're talking about it. Yeah, other people out there that listen to our show or watch it, they might not have heard of it. It's called Loki.
Loki.
Yeah, and it's kind of a big deal and a game changer in a way that I did not think was going to happen, especially because like WandaVision was touted as a game changer.
Yeah.
And it was for her character and for Vision, but not much for anything else, which is fine.
Yeah.
And then of course they say, well, Captain America and Bucky or the Winter Soldier, not much of a game changer. And I'm going, it kind of was game changer, but not a huge one. This one, it's game changer. I
tell you, man. Wow. You know what? I wasn't super, I don't know what it was about Loki. I wasn't super excited. It was on the Wednesdays. I always forgot about it. Like we always talked about this during like a ton of Camcasts. So, oh yeah, we missed Loki again.
Yeah. You know what? And I was the same way because I love the Loki character. And I love Tom Hiddleston, his version of the character. I love it, but I'm not like super in love like his fans are. Like I'm, like Loki up until Thor.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it was like anything else. Like, because I mean, I'm very familiar with Thor.
Yep.
Just like I'm very familiar with a shit ton of comics in general. Oh, by the way, I read most recent Radiant Black. We'll talk about that.
Ooh, I haven't read number 6 yet. Is it 6?
Yes, I believe it is 6. That's the one with the backstory.
Yes,
for Radiant Red.
I haven't read it yet.
Oh, okay. We will not talk about it.
Okay.
But yes. To be continued. Continued.
All right.
Ooh. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But like, it was kind of the same thing with with Heath Ledger's Joker, where like just certain people attach themselves to that character. And we're like, oh, so it's the same thing with Loki.
Yeah.
But like I said, I wasn't really like a huge Loki fan until Thor, and I was like, whoa, this Hiddleston guy is doing a really good job with Thor. Hitting the perfect blend of like sinister, manipulative, but also underneath you're kind of going, yeah, but I can see where he's coming from. He's just
yeah, exactly. He's got, even though he has all that stuff, he's also like got this charm about him, right? It's like I kind of
that lovable rogue character.
I know where he's coming from.
Like even in Avengers, where he does all of this stuff, and all of it's horrible. Like it's all horrible. You're still just like, yeah, but he's not all bad. He's just misunderstood. Come here, Loki. You're a good boy. That kind of thing. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I was super, super surprised that he died in Endgame. I did not see that coming at all.
Yeah.
And then and I was blown away by it. Like it was Infinity War.
Infinity War, yeah, the very beginning.
Infinity War. That's right. That's right. So he dies in Infinity War, and I was like, holy fuck. Like, wow.
Yeah.
And the way they did it too, he just got fucking choked out. Like, oh, it was brutal. It was a horrible way to go. And I was just like, oh my God, that set the stage too, because now you're like, oh, fuck this Thanos guy. And then he lays out the Hulk horribly. But anyway, without getting too sidetracked. So then they announced the show. And of course, we're immediately thinking, oh, it's prequel, whatever. And I was like, eh. And that was at the time we were just like, fuck TV shows. Like, really? You know? So then we get to the actual Loki TV show, and it's bonkers. It's like, it's the American Doctor Who.
Oh, 100%. It's so wacky and out there, but everything works so unbelievably well.
It works flawlessly, and I'm so glad that there's going to be a season 2, but I'm also glad that this is actually like, okay, you know what? This is it. This is officially, we're setting up the big bad for the next Avengers movie, which is like 2 years down the road.
Yeah.
But we're fucking hitting the ground now. Now you know it's Kang.
Yeah.
Now you know that the multiverse is a thing now. Like, this is it. And then, so there's so many implications that are a part of this. And I've got a couple of theories that we'll get to. But overall, so far, this is my favorite Marvel TV show.
Now, does that just include the 3, or is that also including Daredevil?
This is my favorite Disney Marvel TV show.
Okay, same here. In fact, I would say this is hands down the best of the 3.
Yep.
But it's also probably the second best of all Marvel shows after Daredevil. Because I was that fucking mind blown by this.
You know what? I would have to say third best, because Jessica Jones season 1 was so good.
Season 1 was excellent, but season 2 really fucking took a shit.
Yeah, that's fine. And season
Daredevil
3 was better. Season 3 was better than season 2. But yeah, if we're just counting seasons, it's Daredevil, and then it's like Jessica Jones, and then it's like Loki, like just nudging. I might even give it tied for second.
Yeah, because it is like, you know what's crazy? I was like, I actually love this more than any of Thor's live action Avengers.
Yeah,
I never thought I'd ever say that Loki has.
I'm in the same boat.
But
I'm in the same boat. I absolutely, I agree. I think this is it's better than all 3 of the movies. I'm only going to include the Thor movies because, like I've said before,
just the Thor.
Russo's take on Thor is awesome. I love what they do. They have that perfect blend of bro jock with like righteous god hero. Like, all of it is perfectly blended well. That's why I'm interested to see how the Thor Thunder and Love, this version of this, because like I said, like, I'm not the hugest fan of Ragnarok's version of Thor, but I have to rewatch it because I guarantee you rewatching it, I'll be like, no, it's actually a pretty good version.
I've been meaning to rewatch it for quite a while now too.
But yeah, this is just it's so good. Like,
I actually think that's gonna be the weirdest thing about Love and Thunder is seeing a Thor movie with a Loki in it. That's gonna be the weirdest thing about it.
Yeah, actually it is, because I mean, you know, their stories have been threaded together all the way through.
Yeah.
That's another thing where when you get to Infinity War, his death is so heartbreaking, because by the end of it, Ragnarok, like, they're literally like this now. They're like, okay, this is how we're gonna go from here on out.
Yeah.
It's more of that brotherly love. Always gonna be like that love-hate relationship, but it's more love than hate this time around.
Yeah.
Which, because like, and this is one of the things that's very interesting about the show, is that we get to see Thor or Loki go from like a shitty douchebag to like coming up to being an actual elite level threat, to now becoming the anti-hero, where ultimately he is recognizing his place. He realizes that his parents did love him. Like, he went through 2 parents' deaths. He went through even Thor, like Thor's metamorphosis too bled into that. So it's interesting to see them take now Loki, who hasn't gone through any of that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because you almost forget that this Loki was taken at the end of Avengers.
Exactly. Right. He never had any of that growth.
Or not taken, but he moved, like he takes off with the Tesseract there.
But that friggin' scene of him watching what would have happened after Avengers and how his life played out and how he lost his mother and his father and how he died at the hands of Thanos and
the fact that his mother died because of his choice.
Yeah. Wow.
When he like unleashed the dude to kill Thor, his mother dies because of that. Like I was like, oh my God. And I never even thought of that. I never made that connection until this show. And I was like, holy fuck. Like you really, really feel for him in there.
Like that was a freaking powerful scene. Like I was like almost crying with the guy.
Oh, I was like, oh my God, I can't. This is crazy.
Fuck. Man. Oh, this is such a good season. Such a good season.
Before we get too buried, because like I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't have any dislikes. Yeah. I have absolutely no dislikes. This is just gonna be another episode of me gushing about comic book related shit. So anyway, let's go. Created by Michael Waldron, who has writing credits for Rick and Morty and upcoming movie. I don't know if you've heard of it, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
It's kind of perfect that he's writing that after this.
Yeah. The director, which is interesting. I actually had to do a little bit of digging to find the director, but it was Kate Herron, and she directed the entire season.
Yeah.
And hats off to her because that was incredible. Incredible. The cast, Loki LaFayson is Tom Hiddleston, and also President Loki. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Giant spoilers, everybody. The whole thing is spoiled. The whole thing. Okay. Yeah. If it isn't spoiled, it's because we haven't mentioned it. But the intention to spoil every inch of the show is there.
It's coming.
So Ravonna Renslayer is played by, bear with me, Guju mbatha-raw. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter B15 is Wunmi Mosaku. Badass. I loved her character.
Oh man, she's amazing. She was in Lovecraft Country.
Excuse me. I read in an interview where she thought like it was really interesting about how her gender had played no role in her character. Mm-hmm. Her character is it reminded me of Sigourney Weaver as Ripley in the first Aliens movie, because like the whole purpose was like her role originally was written for Tom Skerritt.
Yeah, yeah.
But then they switched it to her, but they switched nothing else. They didn't change anything at all. So she's like this badass, confident person who just so happens to be a woman.
Yep.
And I got those vibes huge. And when I read that interview, I was like, yep, totally see it. Totally see it.
Definitely.
Then we've got, I don't know why he's so high on the cast list, but I thought it was awesome anyway. So Casey, who is played by Eugene Cordero, and he's got the distinction of being in Marvel movies, DC movies, and pretty much any TV show that Mike Schur has produced, because I'm pretty sure I've seen him in The Office. I know he's been in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's been in the Good Place.
Yep.
So, yeah, it was great to see him. He ends up playing a receptionist and a hunter in the new timeline. We've got Miss Minutes, played by Tara Strong, who voices pretty much any female character out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's been a Powerpuff Girl, Sailor Moon. Yep. She's been, of course, obviously, Harley Quinn.
Yep.
Batgirl, I believe she's also played. So just constant credits for her in terms of voice work. And what I loved about her portrayal of Miss Minutes was that if I didn't know it was Tara Strong, I wouldn't have immediately made that connection, because she's not doing like a Harley Quinn ripoff or anything like that. So I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Of course, when I saw the credits, I was like, of course it's her. But I was surprised and happy that I wasn't able to immediately pick her out. Then we've got Mobius M. Mobius. And I have a feeling his middle name is Mobius.
Mobius.
who is played by Owen Wilson, which I was surprised to see him in a Marvel production. But at the same time, I was happy to see it because I haven't seen him in much since he had that fall from grace in Hollywood.
Yep.
But I was happy to see him. I loved him in this show, even though it's not like he's doing anything different. He's still Owen Wilson, like he is in like almost all of his movies. There's always the rare few where he's actually playing something different, like that Escape movie with Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
That was really good, and that was one of his best like actual like acting roles. It was right up there with Behind Enemy Lines, even though that one's a little bit more. That's like pre Owen Wilson, where you could see him just starting to be like, oh wow, oh I really like that. I don't know why you got to come at me like that, and but I think it was a perfect counterbalance to Loki and Loki's character arc.
Super perfect. And the chemistry between them was amazing.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, I feel like
buddy comedy perfection.
I feel like it's hard not to have chemistry with Owen Wilson, though.
Yeah, I mean, it probably is, but you don't.
And Tom Hiddleston too. But yeah, it was so good, so
good. You said, like Owen Wilson's playing Owen Wilson here, so it's basically his character from Wedding Crashers hanging out with fucking Loki.
yeah, exactly,
Funny.
It's great, and it worked perfectly. And the interesting part too is this is a Fantastic Four character that's being introduced.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, come on, guys, just fucking announce Fantastic Four, announce the casting. Let's just get this underway. Because I mean, I bet you that Fantastic Four obviously is like a Phase 5 movie, but get it out there before Avengers 5 so that we can actually have like a huge giant cast again. But I mean, we'll see what happens.
You know what? I honestly think that Fantastic Four is going to be the end of Phase 4. I think rather than an Avengers movie, they're going to end it with Fantastic Four. And
that's a good way to go because I mean, we need a couple of movies to keep us like really hyped for Phase 5.
Yeah.
And especially because Phase 5 is probably going to be ended with the Avengers movie, or it's either halfway through. But I feel like Avengers 5 is going to be the end point for Phase 5 because they're fighting Kang, and I can't help but feel like this not a one and done villain for him. I think he's going to get a two-parter like Thanos.
Well, he's going to make an appearance in Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania.
Yep. Yeah. No, I know, but like, I mean,
but yeah, no, he's definitely working toward. He's got to be in Fantastic Four, right?
You know what? I don't necessarily want him in Fantastic Four per se. Reference him, yes, or like have like a stinger thing where he's in it, but he's not the focal point, because the focal point has to be Doctor Doom. That has to be the main villain for the Fantastic Four or for the Fantastic Four movie. And I know like there's going to be people that are like, yeah, but Doctor Doom again, and it's like, yes, Doctor Doom again, okay, because he is the most recognizable Fantastic Four villain, with the exception of Galactus. Okay. But you have to, and here's the thing, you have to get Doctor Doom correct. Mm-hmm. He's got to look awesome, he's got to sound awesome, and his character has to be virtually identical to how he's portrayed in the comic books.
Yep.
Except for this new hero Doom. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking like the villain Doom.
Yeah.
Okay. And then once he's established, don't kill him off. Keep him around. But have some sort of mention to Kang. In fact, I mean, you could even have Kang be the reason why the Fantastic Four are created, because of the new timeline. There's something. But don't make him a focal point is what I'm getting at.
What do you think of the idea of, like, for Fantastic Four, you know how with the Avengers, they kind of introduced them all in separate movies leading up to Avengers? Mm-hmm. What would you think if we saw, like, Reed Richards as just Reed Richards, or Victor Von Doom as just Victor Von Doom, leading up to the moment in Fantastic Four where everyone becomes Fantastic Four? Because
you know what?
If that was the case, I would totally put Victor Von Doom in Doctor Strange.
You know what? I do like that idea. I mean, like, especially because I like the idea of Doom not having any powers.
Yeah.
I like the idea of Doom having like the suit, like an alternate evil Iron Man. I like that idea, but I also like that. I like the Mark Waid version where he also does the magic too.
Magic stuff. Yeah. That's exactly
And
what I was thinking of. Like,
so that actually, I think that would work. And like you could have uh, Victor Von Doom be literally like a pupil for the oh, what the hell is it? The master. Oh, what the hell is the freaking the top sorcerer supreme?
the top sorcerer supreme.
Yeah, the one that trains Doctor Strange.
Oh, the ancient one.
The ancient one. That's right. Yeah, you know, like have him being a learning under the ancient one, and having him be cast out because he's learning it for evil. Like they figured it out, and they're like, no, you got to kill, because it doesn't have to be a big scene. It can just say like, kick him out, and then somebody goes like, whoa, was that the new guy, Victor? And they go, yeah, keep an eye on him, that kind of thing.
Yeah, because I mean,
you
like,
don't even have to give him the full name. You just say Victor.
No,
most comic fans are going to go,
very small.
Whoa.
I mean, look at Hawkeye's introduction in Thor. It was like a couple minutes long, didn't say his name or anything.
Yeah, they just went, oh, the hawk, he's in his nest, and we're all like, oh yeah. So exactly. I agree. I actually like that idea. Not so all
what
of
if
them.
In, like, what if in the Marvels, Miss Marvel 2 or Captain Marvel 2 or whatever, we see like they're at, you know, NASA or something, and we see Ben Grimm or something, like just simple stuff like that. You cast the guy ahead of time, have a great actor that can lead the future, and then just have them make that little appearance.
Or if you haven't cast all of them yet, have some sort of like something where like a file is on the table and you see Ben Grimm's name, something to that effect. Tease it like they used to do with the X-Men movies, where like you got like Remy LeBeau's name in there, or you saw a clip of Hank McCoy on TV, and then you were just like, oh yeah, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. I actually like your idea. For once, you got an idea that's better than mine.
Because then by the time Fantastic Four comes up at the end of Phase 4, you're like, yes, we've been building to this.
Yeah, exactly. And then it makes also the origin story a little bit more quicker paced, because we have an idea. We've already met Reed.
Quicker paced.
Already met Victor.
It gets the Fox movies out of everyone's mind. They're going to be excited for it by the time
that's not going to be hard. That's not going to be hard. Okay? That's really not going to be hard.
But that's everyone's thought when they think Fantastic Four is, oh, wow, that movie.
So that's really cool. Anyway, tangent aside, the next one on the list is Sylvie, the alternate Loki, played by Sophia DiMartino, and absolutely, for me, best character of the whole show. Like, I loved Loki, and I loved Hunter B-15, and I loved, actually, I don't know if there's a character in here I didn't love, but she was the one where I was like, okay, she's the absolute standout. And she even crushes Jonathan Majors, which for some reason I didn't write down.
Yeah. She was so incredible in this, like so incredible.
Oh, so
I didn't
good.
think anything of Lady Loki being in this, but the way they did it and how she goes by Sylvie and everything.
Well, and that was the other part too. So like when I saw the clip of Lady Loki, I was like, oh, so are they having like Loki change genders like he did in the comic books, like during the Straczynski run? I was like, oh, that's a really interesting. But that's the other thing too. Like they covered almost every version of Loki in this, and I was like, fucking A, man, like this is just nuts. But so she was standout. Plus, I also loved how they used Atomic Blonde as a reference for her fight scenes.
Yeah.
Which, for the most part, the fight scenes are actually pretty good. There was only one or two where I was like, but I mean, that's fine in my opinion. We've got Hunter C20, played by Sasha Lane, who's been actually in a lot of things lately, playing almost the same character, this like rugged badass type chick.
Mm-hmm.
But her part was really cool. Like when she starts to realize, wait a minute, I'm not something that was made just for the TVA. I'm actually a human. So that was one of the first times in the show where I was like, oh, fuck, what's going on with the TVA? This is interesting. This is really interesting.
That was a nice twist.
Very nice twist. Very nice twist. Because especially because like when Loki starts saying like this all just seems so weird that when he starts going into that. But anyway, getting back to it, we've got Kid Loki, which surprised me that we had Kid Loki played by Jack Veal.
Yep.
Boastful Loki, I didn't see coming. Diobia Opere, and this was the most surprising out of the entire cast. Richard E. Grant playing classic Loki, literally in the classic Loki attire, which I didn't think we'd ever see. But I'm actually glad that we did.
That's probably my favorite part of the whole fucking show, man. When he cuts loose and he's building friggin' Asgard. Oh.
And just the fact that like his thing is that he faked his death to avoid Thanos.
Yeah.
But then showed up because he was lonely.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like fucking crazy. Oh no, wait, no, I did get Jonathan Majors. We also, He Who Remains in parentheses, a version of Kang, as by Jonathan Majors, and I loved his. I loved how he's just super chill about everything. Like he's telling the story. He's like, yeah, you know, the whole thing with TVA, it's just bullshit. It's just something so that I can keep all my like different variants from amassing a huge time war because that's just not going to be good. He's fucking eating an apple while he's doing it. I was just like, oh, so good, so good. And then finally, we've got Jamie Alexander and Chris Hemsworth in uncredited roles as Sif, and he's credited as Throg here, but it's Thor Frog. Or Frog Thor or whatever. Which I was probably the most surprised to see those two in the entire show. Yeah, I was floored to see classic Loki and Kid Loki and Lady Loki. I know it's Sylvie, but still, I was floored to see all those. But to see Sif show up and Frog Thor, I was like, what the fuck is happening here? This is crazy. This is awesome. It's cool that Hemsworth voiced Frog Thor. I was like, this is just nuts. This is so good. But then again, I guess you got to do something in between shoots, right? So.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, really, how hard would that be to do a little bit of voiceover?
No, not hard at all.
Not hard.
I think Jamie Alexander surprised me the most to see her show up as Sif. I was like,
so happy. I was like, yes, they remember that Sif exists.
Exactly.
Great.
Okay, so I'm just going to say for the record. So we've already been gushing, but the plot was so intriguing right from the get-go. Like we touched upon the fact that this is a Loki who hasn't gone through the character progression that the Loki that we're familiar with has. So then we got to the scene where he's going through and running through his life up until his death. You're just like, holy fuck, buddy! Like you are in for it. And of course, that puts him in a position where he's like, all right, I'll do it. I'll hunt down this variant. And I did like that they made it seem like this was going to be a creature of the week, that he was going to hunt a different Loki variant every episode, but it ends up being just Sylvie, and then that informs the whole season. I was like, yes, this is so great.
I was kind of shocked. I thought the same thing as you. It was going to be one of those Loki of the week type deals.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden the story just flips. He's on that other planet with her, and that whole episode was amazing.
Man,
the settings, like I was just blown away by the sets in this. Like I know it's all CG at this point, but everything looks so gorgeous.
Well, speaking of the third episode, that whole planet, Lamentis, that was amazing. Like everything leading up to that, I thought was really awesome. It visually looked incredible, and it definitely like fit the tone of the show. And then we got to here, and then I was just like, "There's no way! Like this is just so bonkers! Like the way it looked." And even the story itself, like in episode 3, this is a slower episode.
Yeah.
So I looked at it like, so they hit the ground running. Now they let you catch your breath a bit. Now we ramp up to the final 2 episodes, or 3 episodes actually, where it just peaks and you're just like, holy shit. But even the climax of the episode, of the final, like the actual end of the season, was almost anticlimactic because they had the big battle between the two Lokis, or Loki and Sylvie, sorry. And then of course she fucking knocks him out to the TVA, and but when she actually kills He Who Remains, it's just lackluster. It was just boop, and then he's just like, okay, see you soon.
Yep.
You know, but then I think that works better because then when we see the TVA now, we actually see Majors in almost perfect Kane garb. I was floored. I was like, holy fuck. So I'm glad it wasn't this huge, big spectacle. And then you had that because, again, it brought it down so that when you hit that beat, it was just like, Jesus, fuck. So yeah, that was incredible. That was absolutely incredible. I loved the pacing of every episode. The soundtrack or the score was so...
Yeah, I was going to look at the composer because I actually went right on Spotify and I put a bunch of that music on my list.
Oh yeah, like I was like,
that score was fucking nuts. Natalie Holt. That's cool.
Yeah, apparently she actually.
I don't think there's been any female composers
I don't think so either.
in the Marvel universe.
Not only is she a talented musician,
yep,
I believe she also. I think she threw an apple at Simon Cowell.
Oh, really?
I think so. I think I read somewhere that she did. Don't quote me 100% on that because I could be wrong, but I believe that's what it was. I said it before, but the cast is amazing. Cast is like everyone in the show is so good. The chemistry across the board, like everyone's got chemistry with everyone that they're with.
Yeah.
Like it's just so good. Like even Renslayer, I liked how they were playing her with different shades of gray, or like playing her like she knew more than she let on type of thing. But then you find out she actually doesn't know that much. She doesn't know much more than the other guys, like Mobius, for instance. She knows a bit more, but not the complete story. Like, hell, I mean, for fuck's sakes, they finally like actually had Loki classified as a bisexual for the first time ever. So he's like the only character in the MCU that's classified as a bisexual. And it's like, well, it's about time.
Yeah.
You know? And they didn't play it like it was a big thing. It was just one of those like casual mentions. And then it was like, oh.
Which is
but awesome. I was like, this is so cool that they finally did it. They finally actually said it, you know, because, you know, like there's some characters where you're just like, I mean, why would he even think of it in those terms?
What did he say? He said it differently too. He said, I dabble a little here and there or something like that. Or
yeah, something to that effect.
Dabble something. And
yeah, because I think
Loki, because
one of the characters referenced like boy or girl, and he says, well, you know, I've dabbled in whatever. And you're just like, that's a Loki answer. That's perfect. That's awesome.
Yep.
The concept of the TVA, like before you find out it's literally just a front to keep multiple Kangs from taking over, was awesome. Like I loved that they used it like as a police force to find to prevent Nexus events and also to find like deviant Lokis and variants of other characters and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool.
Yep.
Man, I just, this fucking show is so great. So great. The only thing I forgot to do, and I wish I did, so maybe you might can help me with this. Did they actually mention if Captain America caused a Nexus event with his time travel?
No, they said something like, they brought that up, right, about the Avengers time traveling, and they said it was allowed because it needed to be or something like that.
Right. And plus they put all the pieces back. Yeah. Because they did start to have divergences. But when you returned everything, then in their concept of time travel, it made everything back. So yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay, good. What else you got?
Holy shit, man. Like, I don't really know where to start. Like, everything. Just Kate Herron. I'm gonna watch whatever she does in the future.
Yep, I'm in the same boat.
Because what she did here with these 6 episodes was mind-boggling to me.
And if they don't have her for the second season, I'm going to be disappointed.
Right, not coming back.
Oh, why?
She said she's not going to be returned for the second, and that's a huge bummer But you know what? Maybe it's better offers, but a lot of it is fucking toxicity from fans saying that she made an awful show and fucking
Oh, right, yeah.
Loki and all
Right,
that
yeah, because
bullshit.
you can't just choose not to watch a show. Like, and believe me, I understand when you love a character so much, you're beholden to it. It's really hard to watch something that does not feel like your Loki or your Superman or your Batman. I 100% understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, it's so ridiculous. So you basically you chased her away. She directed a phenomenal show.
Yeah.
I don't think the show would have been as good if it's hard to say if someone else directed if it would be as good, if not better, but I mean, she was chased away. Like, I know that there was flack about, they called it the incest scene, which I thought was ridiculous because it's essentially Loki getting it on with himself, just a different version.
Exactly. Like, of course he would fall in love with himself.
Why wouldn't he? I mean,
like, oh, Wilson's
I'm
like,
saying
that's so Loki.
Yeah, exactly. Like I at no point in time was I like, oh, and I watched like the incest episode of Rick and Morty of their most recent season. Even although that one too, I wasn't like, oh, I was more like, I can't believe they're doing this, and they did it and it was hilarious.
Yeah,
and it pays off actually in the later episodes, but I wasn't as horrified by it.
Like, I knew she was a female Loki, but whenever they were together, I never looked at it as two Lokis. So when they were kissing, I was like, this is kind of perfect. Like, I love it.
Well, that, and like, even though she's a Loki, she's done everything she can to reject it. She doesn't consider herself a Loki. That's why she took the name Sylvie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's why, and in some cases you can see that, yeah, there's aspects of her that are Loki because there has to be, but there's other aspects that are not. And even reading about the acting and stuff like that. So she's saying like Tom Hiddleston took her under her wing to kind of help guide her a bit. So she did her own thing, but also tried to do things like as a Loki. And he was like, yep, it is perfect. I don't have to do anything else. You know what you're doing type of thing. But I thought that was great. But it's so crazy that we're talking about a medium that is supposed to be so inclusive, and yet it's just so exclusive. Like, nobody, it's almost like we shouldn't do any live action, any animated, anything at all unless it fits the bill of every single person. Mm-hmm. But the concept is ridiculous because, like I said, I used the phrase your Loki or your Batman or your Superman because you have your own version of those characters, and it's going to have all the traits that you feel are the best version of that character, but it might not be mine, or it might not be the guy down the street. But we should be able to sit there and go, okay, like I said before, like, okay, that's not for me, but I can see why somebody, or like you, and just leave it at that. It's not for me. I don't need to waste time and energy being so angry and hateful for fake fucking made up characters,
And that's the thing too. It's not their Loki. Their Loki died. This is a different Loki. All that character development that he had after Avengers, which made him likable to everybody watching, is gone. This is a brand new version taking place after when you hated him.
They literally tell you that in the first episode that this is not your Loki.
Yeah.
And yet people are just losing their minds over it. It is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So then I don't blame her for not coming back for a second season.
I don't know if that's the reason or the only reason, but it's probably got something to do with it.
Probably. Because, I mean, eventually some of these jerk-offs are going to figure out where she lives.
Yep.
And then the crazier ones are going to actually try to physically do stuff because there's no concept of right or wrong with these people.
Yeah.
Like, ugh. It's so disheartening that we can't even just talk about stuff and be like, yeah, and just be largely good. Black Widow getting a lot of hate too. Black Widow's getting a lot of hate too.
Taskmaster.
And it's like, what the fuck? And especially like Taskmaster, like I said, I was surprised by the change. And while I liked the change for the movie, moving forward, I wasn't sure how they were going to do it. It almost felt like that's a one and done. And for a character like that, that's disappointing. I stand by that. But I enjoyed the switch. I enjoyed the whole thing. I thought, wow, okay, that's a cool take on the character.
Yep. I've started to look at the MCU as another Ultimate Universe. I'm not looking at it as the 616 because you can't. The Ultimate Universe
absolutely can't.
Ultimate Universe flipped everything, right? It flipped religions and sexes and races, and like everything got switched around.
Or even like just how they like Captain America in the 616 and Captain America in the Ultimate on paper the same, but their backstories are much different. Like the Captain American Ultimate is a fucking prick.
Oh yeah.
Like he's a soldier first. Like he's not the the guy that just doesn't like bullies. Like he was full on like, nope, I want to fucking kill Nazis.
Yep.
And he didn't care what he had to do it. And he didn't care about killing. He was just gonna do whatever he had to do to get the job done. And I remember that was one of those things where, like, when you look back at Ultimate Captain America after watching the MCU movies and some of the really good runs, you're just like, oh yeah, no, this is kind of it's not one of the best takes on Captain America.
Yeah.
But regardless, that's like I can't look at the MCU and say like this is 616 because it isn't. It's not at all.
It's not. It's a totally different thing that's never been done before. Like, the original versions of Cap and Iron Man, Thor in this universe were obviously based off of 616 in the Ultimate, but now
and that's the other part too.
Now it's totally different thing. It's its own thing. Like it's
even like Captain America. Captain America is closer to the comic books version than most of these characters. So he's closer to the comic books version.
Yeah.
But he's updated. I wouldn't say he's like the Ultimate style, but he's updated enough where, because like they take out almost all the Patriot aspects out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not just the guy who wants to fight for his country. This is just a guy that, doesn't like bullies and he doesn't care where they're from. So that aspect's the only thing that's changed. But Tony Stark is way closer to the Ultimate Tony Stark than he is the Marvel comic books. And I know this because they changed the Marvel comic books to suit the movie.
Yes.
Okay. So when they switched 616 to suit the movie, that's how it's not quite the same. Thor's another one that they
he's
he's closer to the comic books. Yeah, I would say he's like
he's closer
70%. 70% 616 and like 30% Ultimate, just because like they don't do the first of all, because they don't do the alter ego Donald Blake. He doesn't hit the cane to become Thor, so there's none of that.
Yeah.
But also, like, Thor's not an environmentalist / eco-terrorist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's not that no one really questions that he has these abilities because they can see what he can do type of thing. So like there's aspects and changes. But again, like I agree with you. MCU is its own story, own version of these characters.
Yep.
And specifically because we're talking about Loki, the Loki that you fell in love with died in the first act of Infinity War. And that's it.
That's it.
Okay. That's it. That's all. This Loki that we're seeing right now, yeah, he's the main Loki. But this is, like I said right at the beginning, this is a Loki that's not informed by all those things. Yes, he watched what happened to him, but that's one of those where you're like, oh, fuck, that's how it ended for me.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah.
Because now he's doing his own thing. He's, he was looking for variants, and now he's got to deal with the ramifications of, the ending of the first season. But he's never going to be that character. Because he doesn't have those experiences. He's familiar, he knows what happened, but he hasn't lived it. And that's how he's different.
Exactly.
I don't understand. This whole medium is built around love and acceptance and all this stuff, and yet we can't help but just be hateful.
Yeah, it's
and the worst part is it's a small percentage of the population that's of the geek fandom that's doing this, but they're just the loudest.
And like, I'm guilty. I'm guilty of being like fucking angry about some changes in some of the franchises I love. I don't think I've ever gone
I've
after
gotten better now,
I've
but
never gone after a creator before though.
oh no, no,
Never.
no, no. I wouldn't even think of
Ever.
it. I would never even think of even like on Twitter going like, "Hey Bendis, you really fucked up Superman, you piece of shit."
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I got better things to do with my time. In fact, I just stopped reading the book.
I don't like his Superman run. So guess what? I go on Twitter and I talk to him about how much I love Powers and how much I love Daredevil and all the stuff
Yeah,
that he has done that I love. Like,
yeah, exactly.
you know, Ultimate
And
Spider-Man. Ultimate
but
Spider.
also too, like I'm better now at being more accepting because again, like I keep saying, like it just you acknowledge that that's not for me.
Mhm.
You know, just like we talked about this recently with Daredevil potentially coming to the MCU. I shouldn't say potentially. I think Daredevil ultimately is coming to the MCU.
Yeah.
But whether or not it's played by Charlie Cox, which would be awesome if that was the case. It would really be awesome if that's the case. But like, I don't. The Daredevil that we get is not going to be the Netflix Daredevil. A. B. It's even if it's close, even if it has a similar styled costume, even if Charlie Cox is playing, Matt Murdock in Daredevil.
Yeah.
There's just certain, like I guarantee you, there's going to be no mentions of his religion, of his Catholic background. There's going to be no okay, buddy, Jesus. There'll be no mention of that at all.
Yeah,
and like I said too, I guarantee you the costume's going to have double D's on it.
Probably. And like Kevin Feige said, he goes, "I've been working on these characters since there was a Marvel Studios. Everything is canon."
Yeah.
And now with the multiverse, absolutely. The X-Men movies are out there. The Sony movies are out there. Like,
yeah, but like I said, like, so while I'm super pumped to see Daredevil in the MCU, I am hesitant because I don't feel like it's going to be my version of that character. And the funniest part is that like my favorite version is in a TV show that was canceled. And yes, it was influenced by a lot of the TV or the comic books and stuff. But I'm looking at it like that's the superior version of Daredevil, period, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Daredevil fan because of the show, more so. I grew up with Daredevil. I can't remember. I told you I read that Frank Miller run, the 4-part Man Without Fear origin story, because Mom bought it because she thought it was Spider-Man. But I read it. I loved it. I was like, man, this is so awesome. But a lot of his runs, I was just like, I don't really care for this until Bendis's run. That floored me.
Right. I mean, you love the Netflix series, but who's to say you won't love what comes next? It's going to be different.
And that's the other thing, too.
You might still love it because you love the Bendis run, but then you also love the Wade run. And how different can it be, right?
Night and day. It's night and day. It's absolutely night and day.
Exactly.
I'm not really feeling Zdarsky's run, even though a lot of people like it. I'm not really feeling it, but whatever. It's not for me. And I think that's the mentality. Every one of these people that are so full of this bullshit should be like, okay, that's not for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, no more tangents on that stuff.
Yeah.
But
next episode.
Until next episode, until basically every episode that we have that it's referenced. I mentioned that it was beautifully shot. This is actually probably one of the better sci-fi TV shows I've seen in a long time.
Oh, easily.
Craziness. Oh, I forgot to mention, I loved that Sylvie was hiding in Nexus events.
Yeah.
And then Loki found her because he's like, well, that makes the most sense because you wouldn't be able to tell because it's a Nexus level event.
That was really cool. When they went to Pompeii, I was like, nice. As soon as we landed there, I was like, oh man, Pompeii.
I you know what? I'm actually I'm all out. The only thing I'm going to say from here on out, like I've been steadily getting more and more pumped for Phase 5 and ultimately Avengers 5. But like now I'm over the moon pumped. Like I'm just like, holy shit. And even just the thought process, like even bringing in the multiverse, I was hesitant, but now I'm like, whoa, this actually means all of this stuff is in canon on some level, in some variant. So like when you reference the X-Men movies. Yeah, now that's part of the MCU because of the multiverse.
Which means Deadpool can continue without actually having to be part of the MCU.
Exactly. And yet at the same time, could show up in the MCU
as a different.
And we don't really, not even, it could be the same Daredevil or Deadpool. We don't even have to reference it. He could just show up and we could acknowledge that he's in this movie and that's it. Yeah. And then go back to his thing, because that lines up with my theory for some of these possible outcomes with this multiverse. So specifically, do you have anything else to say about the TV show?
I don't think so, man. I'm so pumped that this is getting a second season and that we're going to see more of this world. And I'm so excited that this has played a big part in where the MCU is going.
Yeah.
Like WandaVision definitely played an aspect. It's going to connect Doctor Strange and shit.
I look at it like this. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, but no, this is like, WandaVision is like cracking the glass. This is like fucking smashing it. Like,
that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say, like, that's like a sip, whereas this is the full, like, okay, all right.
Like, holy shit. I don't know what to expect anymore. Like, I seriously don't. Now it's at the point where I'm like, maybe I am going to get excited about the Eternals. Maybe the Eternals are actually in a different multiverse, and that's why they didn't play any effect in Endgame and Infinity War.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, they can do
that's
whatever.
Right.
They can do
it's pretty much everything is on the table. Nothing is off the table. I mean, obviously, in some cases, it'll come down to contracts and stuff like that. But still, yeah, you're right. Maybe if that's the case, I feel like Eternals will definitely. I have to see one more like full-on trailer, not a teaser, to get a better idea of it. But yeah, if that's the case, if they play like that's in an alternate timeline,
easily could be, right?
And then it merges or it shows up in the MCU timeline. That's a bit different. I think that's got some promise.
So I mean, like, it's nuts to think like this can go anywhere now.
Yeah, or even just casting the actors that like Charlie Cox, for instance, casting him and Vincent D'Onofrio as both Daredevil and Kingpin, and then bringing him into the MCU, is a lot easier now because you don't need to have all that extra new Marvel or the MCU version of these characters' backstories. Right. You could literally just go and what I'm getting at too is like we can reference alternate timelines if we want to, or if it feels like it serves the purpose of the story, or we don't have to. Like for Daredevil and Kingpin, I mean, let's face it, that's Hell's Kitchen. That's a small corner of New York. We could just suddenly have it so that, well, now he's more renowned because of, whatever's going on. It just, life happens, and now we know more about Daredevil, even though he's only covering a small radius of New York. We don't have to say he's from this dimension or this timeline or whatever. We could just say, oh, no. Yeah. He's just becoming more renowned because he took down Kingpin twice.
Exactly.
Right?
Now we could see Kingpin in future Spider-Man movies. Like, everything is like I might actually be able to see Spider-Man swinging around with Daredevil and Human Torch.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. That'd be super crazy.
That pumped me up.
Yeah, and so getting into possible outcomes. So for Spider-Man, I think this is one of those things where the multiverse benefits Spider-Man.
Yeah.
In the sense that, because as of right now, we're looking at the end of the Marvel contract as of No Way Home.
Yeah.
So No Way Home is the last like MCU Spider-Man movie. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now what they can do is they can still reference Spider-Man because he's part of the multiverse, or not mention it at all because Sony's going to do their MCU produced movies, so they don't have Kevin Feige or whatever.
Yep. And
then after that, when they recast, they can potentially broker another deal with Disney, or Disney can finally just like truckload after truckload of money and just be like, just name your price. We'll keep rolling up trucks. Once we're you tell us to stop, and that's it, right? And then they can bring it back type of thing. But the way it works is like before, when we were talking about, well, so if he goes to a different dimension, right? or a different timeline, he's got to bring Ned with him. He's got to bring Michelle, MJ with him. He's got to bring like all those ancillary characters. They have to go with them too. Otherwise, what was the point, right? Just recast everybody and get it over with, right? Although I'm going to say for the record, if Sony and Disney don't get a new deal negotiated soon, it's a dumb move on both their parts. It really is. Like, I know Disney doesn't have to worry too much because they're going to rake in the merchandise fees. But I mean, their movies get a huge boost anytime Spider-Man's in it. Like, you know, you heard the second you saw the trailer with Spider-Man in Civil War, movie did $1 billion.
Am I wrong? Didn't they already sign a new deal?
I don't believe so.
I recall them saying, "Oh, Spider-Man is done in with Marvel Studios," and I remember Tom Holland like posting something about being super upset about it and how he was talking to both of them, trying to get them to come back together.
Oh, wait, hold on. So it's No Way Home, and I think he's got one more appearance in another movie.
Because I remember.
I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's just his Marvel contract or whatever. However, this contract is split up or whatever the agreement is. I'm pretty sure he's got one more with Marvel, and that's it.
But I think like a lot of that was Sony wanted him to meet up with Venom and stuff, and Marvel was like, no. But now with this multiverse, okay, do whatever you want, Sony, because at the end of the day, we don't really have to pay attention to it.
But even it seems silly that Marvel would be like, nah, you can't do a team-up movie with Venom. It just seems crazy that that's part of the contract where they're just like, he can only appear in Avengers movies and his own movies, and that's it. He can't appear in anything else, just these movies. That's like, what the fuck, guys, really?
If I was Marvel, I'd be like, hey, can we play with Venom for a while?
Well, that's kind of where I was going back to, is like, if we've got this thing, and I mean, like, I know that in Venom they didn't reference Spider-Man at all, but I mean, obviously Morbius references Spider-Man.
Yep.
You know, and I believe there was a reference to Spider-Man in Venom 2 in the trailer.
Right.
So, you know, like, I guess my ultimate thing is like, because I like Spider-Man in the MCU because this version fits the MCU perfectly. And I don't trust Sony to be able to handle Spider-Man on their own, because prior to the MCU version of Spider-Man, they fucked up with Spider-Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Amazing Spider-Man 1 was a huge misstep, even though it's not a terrible, horrible version of Spider-Man like some people have you to believe, but it was a huge misstep. Yes, Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a giant course correction in the right direction.
Yeah. But
it still wasn't really as good as it could have been. So that's 3 movies, and back-to-back too. Like, this isn't like Spider-Man 1 was okay, but Spider-Man 2 was amazing, and then Spider-Man 3 was like, you know, not as good, and then Amazing Spider-Man was so it's not like this. It's like here, and then they fucked around with Raimi, then it starts to drop, and then they got Mark Webb, and they said, hey, do whatever we want, and it was like, okay, like I'm Spider-Man 3 is better than Amazing Spider-Man across the board. It just is the worst of the Raimi movies, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then you've got Amazing Spider-Man, and it's like, some things are good, but for the most part, not really.
Mm-hmm.
Then they course correct because they had to. They absolutely had to. But even still, it was more of a attempt to get the Sinister Six movie off the ground, which is so dumb. So dumb. But regardless, so it's I feel like they have to have a Kevin Feige or someone who is so like who loves the character enough or can appreciate the character to say, no, we can't do this stuff, or we gotta do it this way, or like something to that effect. I think it will benefit Sony to continue the partnership and also benefit Disney as well.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, they're both getting a ton of money in the end.
Well, and that's just it too, right? And so I'll follow up with any of the contract stuff that I dig just to confirm. But I'm pretty sure this is pretty much it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm not doubting you. I just like I swear, like last year maybe. Remember Tom Holland being all bummed out and shit, and saying he was talking to both Disney and Sony and trying to make things happen. And
yeah, no, I remember that too. And but I'm pretty sure it was literally just one more appearance in the MCU.
Yep.
Which isn't really going to be much more than what he did in any of the other, like Civil War or the Avengers movies, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking like maybe 5 minutes total screen time. I think, well, I mean, Infinity War, he was probably closer to 10, 15, give or take. But I don't know. I'll do follow up. I'll do a little bit more work.
Okay.
I'll confirm that with you. But because I've been looking for this, because I feel like he's got another 3 movies in him.
Oh, he's got more than that.
I feel like he's got about 3 more before I feel like he is done with the character.
That would be the different thing. Yeah, when he is done. I mean, wise, he could keep going for 15, 20 years if he wanted to.
Yeah. And I mean, like, if we get 3 more movies of this version of Peter Parker, and then they can recast and do whatever they want, then it's fine. Because again, like I said, like this isn't necessarily my perfect version of Spider-Man, but it's really close. I really like this version. Yeah. So it's not like
I fully expect them to take a break from Peter after Tom Holland's done and just Miles for a while.
That's another one, like that would be interesting to see too. Like,
yeah.
But I mean, we'll see. Hell, I mean, fucking Into the Spider-Verse is canon now.
It is. I mean, it is.
I can't wait for that sequel. Oh man.
That sequel.
Peter B. Parker is back for the movie.
Yeah.
I got some more Jake Johnson. This is great. It'll be interesting to see his character without the belly too, or the sweatpants. Like actually being back to prime Spider-Man, being happy and everything, and you know. But all in all seriousness, this has left me more excited for movies that I wasn't necessarily excited to. Like Doctor Strange 2, I was like, okay, like you know, I'm gonna watch this movie and I think it's gonna be really, really good. But now I'm like, no, I have to watch this movie. Okay.
I can't even tell you how excited I am for that movie now.
I have to watch this movie. I can't just kind of sort of be I have to watch this movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I was gonna watch it regardless because I love the franchise. I think that's one of the unsung Marvel franchise heroes, and it's great. But I was gonna watch it regardless. But again, I absolutely have to watch this movie. This is not like, yeah, I'll watch fucking rights. It's like, no. I'm watching this movie. That's it. Yep. It's fucking, I'm watching this movie. You know, I'm Hawkeye. I think, is that the next TV show that's up?
What If is next.
What If is next. That's right. Which, okay, palate cleanser, get that out of the way.
And after What If, I believe it is Hawkeye.
And then it's Miss Marvel, I think,
after that. Miss Marvel, and then I think She-Hulk, and then Moon Knight. I think that's the order right now.
So, but now it's become, I have to watch all of these shows.
Yeah.
You know, especially because even like Hawkeye, well, there's got to be some sort of Thunderbolts reference, some sort of tie-in with Valentina.
Yeah.
You know, same with She-Hulk. She-Hulk might be a little bit more bonkers than we might be thinking of, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Moon Knight, I think, will be interesting to see, because that'll be one of those where that'll give you a better idea of how they're going to handle, if they're going to try to do a Netflix style Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to give you an idea of how they're going to handle it.
It's also going to give you an idea of how dark they're willing to go for Blade.
And that's, actually, that's right. Because I mean, you know, like we'll see. But with Loki, though, we had stabbings on screen.
Oh yeah.
You know, like we had like full on, like there's no way you could tell me that they didn't die just because you didn't see blood.
Yeah. After Loki and Black Widow, I'm feeling like Marvel's kind of willing to turn a little more to the dark side now and push that.
Disney. It's Disney. Disney's a little bit more willing to.
Well,
to get
Disney, yeah, like okay, Marvel's always been willing, but Disney's given the AOK now.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, they're pushing that PG-13 as far as it can go now.
Right, and I mean, like when we're talking about Moon Knight and Blade are the two where when I heard that these were Disney shows, I was like, whoa, I don't know about this. Like, and I'm not saying like Moon Knight has to be ultra fucking violent, but it is a darker, grittier, and it is a brutal character to deal with. Yep. But also, we're talking about a character that's got multiple personalities. So that's another aspect too that's going to be really interesting to see how they handle that. Blade, I mean, we're talking vampires. You just don't show any blood. They can disintegrate upon any sort of blade cuts, and that's fine. But still, again, we're talking about a guy who hunts vampires. Like, yeah,
I mean,
and if he's cracking jokes left and right, like I'm gonna be like, get the fuck out of here. That dry, like subtle, digging, sarcastic humor, fine, perfect. Yep. Like the Wesley Snipes character is so perfect for Blade that it's hard to envision anyone else doing anything different.
It is,
but I mean,
he's kind of. Well, I mean, it's kind of right now like Hugh Jackman too. Like it's definitive. I can't imagine anyone else in the role, right?
Right, but at the same time, I don't want any actors to suddenly feel like they have to do their version
of that version.
Like Brandon Routh being like an updated version of Christopher Reeve's Superman.
Yeah,
it was cool to see, but every single time I've watched it since, I'm always just like, it's a missed opportunity. Like they could have had him do something different, you know?
Yeah.
So instead of the next guy doing their impression of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, let him do something a little bit different, right?
Absolutely.
So all in all, I'm excited. I'm still a little hesitant with No Way Home, partly because of the whole, like, yes, with the multiverse and you know, seeing all the different versions of Spider-Man that may or may not actually be in this movie.
Yeah.
My fear is the overshadowing. I don't want Spider-Man, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, to be overshadowed in his own movie, especially because Iron Man has been a huge specter for the last two movies. And if this new costume is his official costume until the next movie, I mean, okay, fine, I guess. The reasoning behind it better make sense, but if it's literally an homage to Tony Stark and Iron Man, I'm gonna be like, that's stupid. That's so stupid because the red and black was his version of the Stark suit, so that's how he's paying homage to him.
Yeah.
And let the guy stand on his own 2 feet, for fuck's sakes. I know he's a kid. I get it. I understand completely. But I mean, like, when you read the comic books, like, this is a guy when, like, other heroes found out Peter Parker was Spider-Man, their reaction was, hey, you're so young. Like, you're a kid. Like, yes, he's an adult now, and in the comic books, he's an adult, and he has been. But I mean, like, could you imagine being like Captain America and, you know, the kid, like the guy that just saved your life, Spider-Man, is an actual kid, and you're like, wait, what the fuck? You're not even in college?
Yeah.
And you're like a better hero than most of these people that are superheroes? Like, whoa. It would check me too. I would definitely be like, oh, I thought I was great. I thought I was a good guy, but that fucking kid there who does homework and saves fucking New York constantly on a daily basis, like literally on a nightly basis. That kid sacrifices his entire life to be Spider-Man.
Yep.
That guy's great.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, if we don't get that version, the best part is I can just go on Twitter and just spread hate, spread vile hate everywhere.
Read it all over.
I want my Spider-Man.
Yeah. This is not my Spider-Man.
Oh, before I forget, positive note. So Nightwing. So they had this teaser about how Nightwing's dad actually had a daughter, and there was that possibility, like there was the thought process that it was going to be like he cheated on Dick's mother, and that's how the girl came about. Nope, not at all.
No,
he got her pregnant before he ended up with Dick Grayson's mom. But he never knew. He never knew he had the kid. Like he hooked up with the girl, and in the issue they actually say like he wasn't with your mother beforehand because he put her up on such a high pedestal, and she put him on the same pedestal, so they weren't together. We had a good little time. I had to leave. I'm not gonna spoil too much, but I had to leave. And then she came back with the daughter to say, "Hey, look, like this is your kid." Comes across the Flying Graysons, and it's they're training Dick on the high wire. So she's like, "Everything, you guys all look so happy. I didn't want to wreck that." I was like, "Man, I swear to God, this is a run for the ages, potentially run for the ages."
And it's big. Like, what was 77 was the first issue, or 78?
78.
78. 78 is going for a shit ton of money on eBay now. Like, this run is crazy big.
It's so huge. The art is amazing. The writing is amazing. In fact, like I actually have a variant cover as my wallpaper right now.
Yeah.
And it's this like black and white background with like Nightwing kind of like the symbol sort of spray painted on. And it's Tim Drake, Red Robin, sitting on a bench looking at his phone. And Dick is just kind of leaning up against the building, drinking like pop. And it's just this casual thing, but it looks so cool because like it's largely black and white, but the logo is blue.
Nice.
Robin's cape, the inside is yellow, so it just pops. It looks incredible. The run is amazing. It's so good. Like I really, really, I have no doubt in my mind that this is like a potential run for the ages. This is like I'm already liking this run more than Grayson, and I loved Grayson. Like Grayson was such a good book. It's still such a good book. There's a couple of missteps here and there based on just stand-in artist and oh yeah, I know.
He's agreeing with you. He's completely agreeing with everything you're saying.
Yeah, I know. How dare they have a life? Hey? Okay. Anyway, so okay. Sit. That's enough. Anyway, Geek Pantsers, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Geek Pants Camcast.
Yep.
You know what? I say it all the time. I will always say it. Thank you so much. Like Ken and I really appreciate it. Yes, we would do this regardless, but the fact that you guys join us every couple of weeks, or in some cases every month, means the world to us. And we're so glad that we get to do this and have differing opinions, especially this guy in the background. As always, you can see us, on YouTube. You can see us on Facebook. You can see us on Twitter. You can see us on Instagram. You can hear us on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and SoundCloud. Yep. You can see Chris Fedek almost exclusively on geekpantsmedia.com.
Yep.
You can see us a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be fair, if you were seeing us on all these other mediums, then you're probably sick of seeing our faces anyway.
Probably sick and tired of it.
The support is amazing. All our followers are great. We want more, so tell your friends. We want more than just Malaysia to love us more than anything. Because I didn't forget Malaysia.
Towards other countries.
But regardless, we appreciate it so much. And, we're looking forward to the next batch. At this point, I don't know what's next on our Geek Pants schedule. Who knows?
There is so much stuff down the bank. And you know what? Pretty soon, this whole Zoom thing is going to be done.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll have to see your vaccine passports.
Done.
I'll show you mine if you show me yours. But in all honesty, Geek Pantsers, we love you. Stay safe. Learn to love. Learn to accept the fact that maybe this isn't your version of that character. and just continue to revisit the versions that you love. Mm-hmm. I might not like MCU Daredevil. I might not, but I'll always be able to continue to watch the Netflix version.
Yep.
I may not like Chip Zdarsky's run on Daredevil, but I can always check out Mark Waid's. I can always check out Bendis's.
Yep.
So that's kind of my point. Just love each other. That's it, because that's all we have is each other.
Years and years and years of different versions out there for you to love. And in the end, we're all just geeks.
That's right. That's right. So on that note, pew 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 pew. Are you seriously pulling that shit on a Camcast? Like Christ. That's enough, big guy.
He's got to have his cameo appearance.
I'm fine with a cameo appearance when he starts like doing that super masculine whine. The next door neighbor's puppy is barking.
Titan has officially become our Stan Lee.